part of our business. And with that, let's kind of start to talk about what we're going to go over today. So we're going to be talking about why are reviews so important? Where are you supposed to get them? Where are you supposed to put them, right? How to get them, how to use them, and then a review referral contest. So with that, why reviews are just absolutely so essential. So the reality of it is we all do research before we're going to use any product. And now, especially with the biggest purchase of our lives, people are doing research, right? So 97% of the consumers are going to read online reviews. And then 85% of those folks are going to trust your online reviews as much as they would a personal recommendation, especially when those reviews have details. Something about like how this was a win, or it was a good review because they gave specific examples of why it was a great experience. Now, 73% of consumers say that a positive review makes them trust a business more, which we totally get. And then 68% of people, they will leave a review if they're asked. And there's kind of a couple key ways that we can ask for reviews. So with that, let's talk about a little bit about the most important sites for realtor reviews. So Google is going to be your number one. That's definitely going to be one of my favorites. You know why? Because Google doesn't require it to be a verified real estate transaction. So we don't only want to hear reviews from people who've done real estate transactions from you, but maybe we want to review from your lender. Maybe we want to review from your title partners. Maybe we want to review from the inspection company that you use all the time. So you can ask anyone to give you a review on Google. Here's the thing though, guys, when you're doing that, don't send out like a bazillion emails at one time. Google wants to see something like that's a little bit more consistent, right? So when I'm trying to do a bunch of Google reviews, we send out kind of like on a weekly, we have a list of folks that I've like kind of brainstormed that I want to, long-term get referrals from. And these are usually like vendor partners or something like that. And then I send them out on a weekly basis, a request for a review. One great way to get reviews is going to be that when you ask for a review, offer to give a review, right? So that's a really good way to get people to review you on Google. So every time I ask, let's say I ask our real estate attorney to give a review, I'm going to give a review for him back as well. So Google is a great place to have all your reviews. The other thing with Google too is that it's going to help you from an SEO perspective. So getting those reviews is going to help you with organic reach, which is key. You also want to have your reviews on Zillow. It's kind of like a necessary evil, but we do need to have our reviews on Zillow as well. Realtor.com, I have a lot of reviews there. Facebook. And me personally, I don't have anything on Yelp because I feel like I need to focus on those top 4. But that is another site where it is recommended to start to get reviews. I think that's starting to gain traction in the real estate world. But I would say personally, Google, Zillow, Realtor, and Facebook are the primary places where I like to get reviews from. And what's key here, guys, is that you can't just have all your reviews on one site. You have to diversify. Especially like those folks who like went super hard on Zillow reviews and kind of ignored all others. We had a lot of folks who had Zillow reviews. Some of them got lost. Some of them got, they kind of went missing about a year or so ago. You just don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, right? So you want to diversify your reviews. And we can do that in a number of different ways. So sometimes folks will do like rotate their review requests. So you can do like one quarter you do Google, one quarter you do Zillow, one quarter you do Facebook, one quarter you do Realtor. So you can do it that way. There's a number of different ways that you can do it. And you can always ask for 4 reviews at a time, do a quick copy and paste and ask, if people would be willing to review you in more than one spot. So with that, let's talk about kind of the best way to ask for reviews. So we have to start having this conversation from the very beginning of our transactions. So we want to make sure that people know from the very first meeting, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I am dedicated to making this a 5-star experience for you. And I'm going to ask you, throughout the transaction, that if I do that 5-star experience and I provide you with the best service, that you'll please do leave me a review at the end of the transaction. So kind of plant that seed early and often, right? Trying to earn my 5-star review, things like that will make a difference, because then they understand how really very important this is to you. Typically, I'm going to ask for a review either at or right after closing. So great time is like while you're at settlement and you're waiting for the disbursement of funds, or we're waiting for paperwork to be completed, whatever it may be. It's a great time to ask for reviews. And you always want to do it in their kind of preferred method of communication. So if folks like to communicate primarily via email or by text, that's the way that I'm going to try to ask for that review. Really, really easy to send a text review, copy and paste the link, send it over to them, and just ask for a quick favor. I'd love if you could give me a 5-star review if I've earned the right to that. So it definitely works. Then you're going to want to follow up. If they haven't done that, you're going to want to follow up in about 7 days, and then you're going to want to follow up another 30 days after that. So it is possible to automate those in automated emails, like in your CRM, so that you make sure that that those actually happen, because I know we all get busy and we forget, right? Or put it in your calendar. So that's definitely a way to kind of make sure that they don't fall through the cracks, because it's so easy to do. And what I would say too is, 3 times is a good amount to ask for a review. After that, I kind of feel like we're, borderline harassing people. So, if after those 3 you don't get a review, don't sweat it, don't worry about it. The other way to get kind of more reviews is going to be to ask for a review from both like a husband and wife, or both partners, whatever that looks like. So I think that's going to be key in really, especially on those Google reviews, getting an increase in the Google reviews, because people can, it doesn't have to be necessarily, again, tied to a transaction. You can get as many folks as you want to give you those reviews. And that's important to share with your people as well, because a lot of times only one person in a couple will make that review. And it's actually, both of them can do it. And the more reviews, the better.
Hey, Shara, we have a quick question in the chat. Leon asked, do you typically send people all of those review sites? And if you did that, in your experience, do you find that they'll just do Google, or will they also, pop into, Facebook or one of your other review sites that you're asking them for? Do you think it's best to offer people all of those review sites, or just one at a time?
That's a great question. So there's kind of a 2-part answer to that. So if you give them like 3 options, right? And so let me just preface this with, I don't request a ton of reviews from Facebook, because I post my testimonials, and we'll get to that in a different place. So I don't do a ton on Facebook necessarily. What I do though, is I focus on Google and Zillow and Realtor.com. So in the message that I'm sending them, I will send 3 links and ask. Most of the time, they're going to do the one that's at the top, right? They're not going to do all 3. However, in order to get them everywhere, that's kind of the whole point of like the review referral contest, is to encourage them to do reviews in multiple places. And I'm also going to show you a tool in a little bit that can kind of help with that as well. So awesome question. But I do find that, asking for multiple reviews, it's a lot. And they typically will just do that first one, unless we make it super easy, or we make it a compelling reason for them to leave that same review on multiple sites. And we'll get to that. Awesome. Let's keep going here. So what to do with your reviews, right? You got this amazing 5-star review, and let's say you got it on Google, or let's say, like in this case, this was actually a letter that people wrote after reviewing this as well. So we're always going to do, that kind of humble, not so humble brag, and we're going to post that on social media. We're maybe not going to do all of it, but it is nice to put in some of those special, testimonials and reviews, the ones that, were really truly heartfelt, that made a big difference. And so we always like to post those on our social feed. If you can get a video review, even better. They're a little bit harder to get. A lot of people don't quite feel comfortable in video, but definitely being able to put that on your social is going to be key. So with that, one thing that we use, we're kind of still testing it, is a couple different things. You can send folks to like a review site. So like in your on your website, for example, if you can add a page to your website where it has those referral links. So like you would make a domain name like reviewshara.com, which does not exist. So I don't think you need to go there. But it would be like reviewyourteam.com, whatever that looks like. It's a super easy place for people to just like click, go to that page, click on the 2-3 reviews links, and get to it that way. So that's one kind of way to systematize it. You also want to do putting that, whatever that link is, or the most important links, into your signature line as well, because that's always going to be able to be like that constant reminder. So as you're telling folks to, hey, I'm still trying to earn that 5-star service, a 5-star review, it's always going to be in your signature line there as well. So it's kind of that constant little reminder that it's so very, very important. In addition to that, so you could use a testimonial program. There's a few different ones out there. Like you have to kind of research to see like which one works best for you and your needs. We are test piloting, we've been for a few months, a testimonial tree. And the cool thing with testimonial tree is that it will auto post to a couple different sites, not everything, but it's like makes it super easy for people to like copy and paste into multiple different review sites. So that's an interesting one. Bird Eye is another one of those like similar type sites. I think maybe Rate My Agent might be another one, but that's a good example of kind of using technology to like help streamline the process a little bit. I wish there was like one program that you could do one review and it would go to every single site, but it doesn't exist. So the best one that we found was Testimonial Tree. And like I said, we're still kind of in that trial period to make sure that this is going to do exactly what we want it to do. Okay. I want to jump back to explaining too why these reviews are just so incredibly important. It really does help people make a decision on who they want to work with. It allows us to build that organic SEO, organic search, and it really gives people kind of an insight into you, into your personality, right? Because people want to do business with those people that they know, like, and trust. And through reviews, they feel that they can know us. They feel that they like, they can kind of get a sense of our personality. They would like us. And they get that sense of building credibility and trust. It's just a great example of social proof. Gives that credibility, which is extremely, extremely important in today's market where there's so very many agents that we're competing against. So reviews really are that, it's just such a tool to focus on. It's easy when we wear so many hats to kind of, just let reviews kind of go by the wayside, but it's going to definitely make a huge difference in your business. With that, the other piece of this is going to be the referral piece. So in addition to the reviews, we want to get the referrals as well. And we can do a contest that's going to get both. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But the reality of it is, I love these stats. We always go back to them because 41%, they use somebody who was referred to them, right? 90% would use that same agent again if we just stayed in front of them, right? And we did our job of reminding folks to use us. And then the same thing on the seller side, like 66% found them from a recommendation, a referral. And then 70% said they would use that agent again. So the only reason that people don't use that agent, in my opinion, is because we haven't done our job of staying in consistent touch and being that knowledge broker who is their go-to for any and all questions real estate. You want to be that person that, that they reach out to for a recommendation for a handyman, that they reach out to for a recommendation for, should I refi my house, right? You want to be that resource for them. It's not a one and done. So what we can do in order to kind of increase those referrals, obviously, is stay in touch with our clients. We want to be everywhere. We want to be consistent. And we want to do it on a routine basis. And the way that we do that is always going to be through consistent stay in touch programs, right? It's going to be using the postcards, using events, using newsletters, pop-bys, social media. It's being omnipresent, right? Because we want folks to say to us, we see you everywhere. You know, how many times do you need to ask for a sale? It has to be a continuous process. And so with that, staying top of mind is going to be absolutely key in getting that repeat and referral business. Now, one thing that we do is on our team, we do a review referral contest. Sometimes we do it once a year, sometimes we do it twice a year. It really depends. And you have to be careful because some sites don't allow you to do that. So you can't necessarily, so you kind of have to be careful. If you do some research on it, it will say, you know, it's really maybe not the most recommended way to do it, but we do it. We know a lot of folks out there do review and referral contests, and it's kind of like a fun way to publicize it. Again, check with your state laws. Just make sure that you are permitted to do this. And again, it may depend on like Google, Zillow, Realtor. They all may have different regulations, kind of depending on where you go on whether you can do this or not. But the way we structure ours is, for us, it's really like, it's almost like a mini event we use it for. We do a review referral contest. We put in some pretty impressive gifts, right? Like, it has to be a compelling reason for somebody to take a few minutes out of their day and write you a review. I mean, it kind of does, right? So something like maybe a gift certificate to a restaurant, maybe it won't work, right? Like, we've done review referrals with, you know, basically we try to do it as like a $2,000 gift. You know, sometimes like we started out at like a 500 and, you know, our team has grown, so we've done a little bit more. But, you know, I think it may need to be a little bit more than $100. It has to be something compelling. So with that, every time they give us a review, every time they give us a referral, they get points. And it is something that's a little challenging to kind of keep track of. But it's something that really, every time we do it, we do get a bump in all of our reviews. So we always do it a couple different ways. We're going to send it out via emails. We're going to text it out to our clients as well. And we're also going to post it on social to make sure that they're aware of it. Again, depending on the laws in your area. So with that, I'm going to just bear with me 1 second here. I'm going to just stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to just show you a quick example of one of the ones that that we have done. Bear with me here. In the meantime, if anybody has any questions, please definitely let us know.
Actually, Erin reached out and she said, she asked if you personally reach out to the review. If you personally reach out for the review or if an admin can do it. And maybe I have a feeling you actually have it a part of your process during a transaction, but maybe you can speak to that. What's the best way to actually ask for that review?
So the answer is both. So both my assistant as well as myself will reach out. So, you know, it's not usually like bam, bam, like one does it right after the other, you know, but it may be at different times. I may mention it and just ask in person. She may follow up with a text message. For the way that we do it on our team is that we've always done it where it's part of one of our auto plans. So it's basically in a congratulatory email. And that's kind of how we've always done it. It's, you know, there's no substitute for the agent reaching out and trying to, you know, to do it as for personally. There's not. But again, in our world, like, we just want to make it so that we have layers so that in the event that that doesn't happen, that we still make sure that we can have at least a fail safe in place through an automated email. And so that's kind of what we have found to be the most successful. And what I do here with, bear with me real quick. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yep, you're all good.
You can see it? All right, awesome. So what we do here is we do, like I said, we do a type of contest. We try to make it easy where they can do it a couple different ways. Like they can do either a review site, they can scan a QR code, it kind of depends. And then everybody has like a different value to the entry. So just a regular review, we do it as 1 point, video is like 2 points, and personal referral is 3 points. So and then we just kind of use, there's a lot of different programs out there that you can use as like a randomizer. So I literally think one of them is called like randomizer.org or something like that, where you put all those people in a spreadsheet, you upload them, and it randomly picks the winner. So we use that to make sure that it's, it's just completely fair. Everybody gets, their shot. Now, we try to do this so that it doesn't have this huge time frame. Like if you like people forget about it. Like if you're running this for like a quarter long, people do kind of forget about it. So if you do it over, let's just say a 2-week period, something like that. There's like a full court press in terms of trying to get folks to do it. And then after that, you can definitely make sure that you guys are able to track and you find the winners. Now, what I would say is do this at the time of the year that's not that busy, right? This is not something that you want to do like in the middle of your spring market. For us, like it's kind of cute. You can do this, or we've done this around Valentine's Day. So we've done a like show us some love campaign. And that was kind of that, I think it culminated like on Valentine's Day or something like that. It's always important once you do get a winner that you get a picture of the winner and that you promote that as well. And, tag that winner so that, all their friends can see that on social as well. And that's kind of the way that we've had success. There's no right or wrong way to do a review referral contest. You kind of have a little bit of trial and error to see like what works best with your audience, but this is kind of what's been working. I mean, we've tried it a few different ways, and I do feel like this has bumped our reviews up every single time we've done it. So it incentivizes folks to do those multiple entries. So like if they never did it in the beginning, then they go back and they can do it at this point. So what questions do you guys have?
Hi, I have a quick question. This is Chris from Montclair, New Jersey.
Chris?
So I did run a campaign that's similar to that, and I got a few reviews, which was great. It was only like 3 or 4, but in retrospect, I'm glad it was, because like you said earlier, if you get too many at once, Google like flags them or will suspend your account. So how do you run a contest without like having too many reviews spammed at the same time?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. So you shouldn't have an issue if you're doing that with like Zillow or Realtor.com or Facebook. Zillow may, and I'm not sure because I've never like tested it 100%. Like I don't think we've ever gotten flagged on Google with when we've done it, but I do understand that could be a concern. And if it is a concern, maybe what you do is you take off Google. And you just do Google, maybe it doesn't count for that contest. Maybe that's your first request all the time. So if you always do a primary Google request, then the review referral contest can be to get reviews on the other sites. So that may be one way around it if that's a concern.
Makes sense. Thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else have any questions? Is anybody doing review referral contests, or is anybody having like a high level of success with getting reviews? It's something that's so interesting, like we got to work on a daily basis. And it's so easy to forget. But I think in making like that concerted effort at the times in our business where we have a little bit of downtime and catching up on that, like that maybe you missed out on in the spring, just make sure that, maybe doing that one more touch sometime in the downtime can definitely start to boost those referrals and those reviews. But what we've seen is that, being consistent is going to really always yield results, right? It's time on task over time. So as long as we're doing the things that we should be doing, we're going to get those reviews and referrals. All right, guys. Any other questions?
Yeah, they were just talking about this on the Tom Ferry podcast, and he was basically like, just throw it in your calendar to reach out to like 2 or 3 people per week, like on like Friday at 12 o'clock or whatever, just so that you have it in there, and it won't get bombarded with reviews all at the same time, but you'll get a steady flow so that it won't get flagged by like Google or Zillow if it does that.
That's a good idea. Absolutely. That's a really good idea. And I think too, it's just, making sure that you've got those systems in place, right? So as long as you have those automated notes, whether it's in your calendar, whether it's in your CRM, just to, 7 days after you've requested that review, make sure that have they done the review? If they didn't do the review, let's send out another request. I do find we have most success when we do text out the review. But again, if I have somebody who's not going to text, I'm always going to email them, of course. But I have found that doing it via text, I do get good results because it's just so easy for folks to do it. And again, maybe they're not going to do 3 at a time, and again, those clients that maybe you could ask and maybe you couldn't ask for that. But, I definitely think that, that it works. And we've seen a huge difference in our business. So what we're going to do is we'll send out to you guys kind of like a sample, so that, or kind of like a sample template, so you can see some of the ways that you could do the review referral contest. And hopefully this is something that's going to be useful in your business. And again, like I said, just my disclaimer, just be careful, make sure that, in your area, in your state, that it is permitted to do so, to be able to ask for those reviews in that way. Oh, one other thing I do want to mention. Every time, now you can't tie, like once you go to settlement, let's just say somebody refers you a client, right? You're not, I don't believe you're permitted in any way to give a gift to the referring partner at settlement, right? One thing that I do a lot though, is every time somebody sends me a referral, I'm going to send them just a little, I use Cheryl's cookie cards. They're like not crazy expensive. It's just like a little thank you cookie card, just as a little token, or like a Starbucks gift card, just something acknowledging that review or that referral. So I found that that's been helpful as well. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. If you have any questions, please don't ever hesitate to reach out.